Hello and welcome to The Game Plan, where we bring you in-depth analysis of the greatest game of all you won't find anywhere else. All eyes are on State of Origin Game 3 on the Gold Coast. Anthony Seibold, as a proud Queenslander, of course you want your Maroons to get the win in Game 3. You've highlighted a couple of areas in terms of attack and defence where they can get the job done. As we look right now, firstly, let's focus on defence. We'll look at the kicking game and the importance of the kick chase. Also, putting pressure on the Blues playmakers. Then we'll turn our attention to the attack. You'll highlight why they should play through the Blues and not around New South Wales, and how they can take advantage of that mismatch between Xavier Coates and Brian To'o on the wings. Let's start with the defence. So far, the Blues have torn the Maroons apart, but why is the kick and kick chase so important on Wednesday night?
Yeah, it's really important for Queensland to get their kick chase correct on Wednesday night. And I want to start with the tactic of actually putting the ball on Josh Addo-Carr. Now, Josh Addo-Carr is playing on the right-hand side for the Blues, so that's the left-hand side kick chase team for the Maroons side. You can see there, this is from some earlier games in the series, and I think by putting the ball on Josh Addo-Carr, it means that you're going to get Tom Trbojevic on what we call the +1, which is the second tackle after a kick chase tackle. So there's Addo-Carr. Good kick chase line by Queensland. Minimum 10 men in the kick chase line required. But have a look at what it does to Tom Trbojevic. Instead of shifting the ball to Tom Trbojevic from wide field position, it means this line here for Queensland team can get up aggressively, compress their line, and send Tom Trbojevic sideways. So you can see there, 2 tackles inside the 20-metre zone, which is a real target for any good kick chase team. Again, we'll see Cameron Munster with his left foot kick, putting the ball on the top of Josh Addo-Carr. You'll see Tom Trbojevic trying to escort the chase. Now, it's not about trying to contest for the ball. It's about trying to stop Addo-Carr creating momentum for the Blues team. So really good kick there. We think the left-hand side wing will be Val Holmes, but it stops Josh Addo-Carr from building any momentum for the Blues. Another example of the aggressive kick chase required, not just 1 or 2 times in the game, but consistently throughout every single kick chase, is what I call jack and run. So what you want to try and do, Cameron Munster, Jaden Sewer in game 1 of the series are trying to jack Josh Addo-Carr up, and Fotuaika, the replacement forward for the Maroons, comes in and runs Addo-Carr back. It's a really good gain of 5 to 10 metres. And what it does, it sets the defensive starter that sets up. It means that they're nice and aggressive with their kick chase line, and they're going to go and attack Tom Trbojevic, Tohu, and the other outside backs for the Blues side on the +1 and +2 tackles.
So I guess that's because, one, Brian To'o, he's such a good returner of the footy. He's got that leg drive. Josh Addo-Carr, a smaller body, but you mentioned Tom Trbojevic there. Not only does it put a defensive line in front of him, but it also ties him out, no doubt, so that later, when the Blues are in the attacking zone, he's not as fit as what they were in 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're trying to do is try and control where Tom Trbojevic gets the possession of the footy by getting him on what we call a +1 tackle. Got a thick line there, can get off the line and minimise the momentum that he creates. So we don't want the ball to be shifted to Tom Trbojevic out of yardage. We want him to take that tough carry on +1 or a +2 play.
And Siebes, of course, the Blues' new playmakers for Origin 3. Mitch Moses on debut, Jack Whiten wearing the New South Wales number 6 jersey for the first time. No doubt they're already under pressure, but how can the Maroons put them off their game on Wednesday night?
I think it's important for the Queensland side to disrupt Mitchell Moses and Jack White with regards to their ball playing and also their kick execution. Now, they do that by inside pressure and also kick pressure. And I want to show you an example. The Blues ball players and their forwards in Yo and Cameron Murray, who do some ball playing as well for the Blues, they've been able to dig all the way into the defensive line. So you'll see Cameron Murray here for the Blues side. He's a ball player in this particular situation. There's no inside pressure from any of the Queensland forwards. In particular, what I want to look at is Andrew McCulloch. Andrew McCulloch's job there is to change his intensity 2 to 3 metres to make Cameron Murray play there. You can see if Cameron Murray plays in that particular still shot, it means that the edge defence can do their job. They don't get caught up. But the Blues ball players have been able to dig all the way into the line. And what it does, it disrupts the Queensland edge defence and it puts them under pressure. You'll see here, Tom Trbojevic getting some clean ball against Catewell and makes a little line break. Now, that is just one example of a number of examples I could have showed from game 1 and 2. When Ben Hunt come on off the bench as the interchange hooker in game 2, actually puts some inside pressure on the ball player. So there's another example. You'll see here Nathan Cleary, the ball player for the Blues side. And you'll just see on the inside Ben Hunt. Now, Ben Hunt just comes forward with a 2 to 3 metre change of intensity. He just makes Nathan Cleary play that little bit early, which helps Cameron Munster and Kate will make the tackle on Liam Martin for the Blues team. It's only a really small change of intensity, but the more they make the ball players play early, the easier it is for the Queensland defenders. Now, the other way that they disrupt the New South Wales Blues attacking threats is by the kick pressure. Now, you can see here, there's 2 players I want to point out. There's Josh Papali'i and there's also Christian Welch. Marker and also a defender. They need to go and put enormous pressure on Mitchell Moses this week. And by doing that, you'll see there they actually take Nathan Cleary to the floor. The more times they take Mitchell Moses to the floor this week, it will disrupt his kicking game, and it means the back three for Queensland can get the ball on the floor. This is another example of kick pressure or inside pressure from the Queensland side. They've done it inconsistently in games 1 and 2. They need to do it consistently on Wednesday night. You'll see there's Fotuaika getting into the kicking zone of Nathan Cleary, and because of that, Nathan actually shanks his kick a little bit, and it means it's an easier catch for Kyle Felt. Now, this will be Xavier Coates, we think, on the right side for the Queensland side on Wednesday night. But you can see there's no pressure from the Blues defenders there on Kyle Felt. And I think if Queensland go with the attitude of disrupting the Blues, attack by inside pressure on the ball players to make them play early, and kick pressure on Mitchell Moses' kicking game, it will disrupt their attack and take away some of their key weapons.
Well, the current scoreboard for the series, Siebes, reads 76 New South Wales, 6 to Queensland. So no doubt they have to nail that defensive element of their game. But let's look at their attack. And you spoke about the intensity there in defence. It was there for the opening 15 minutes at Suncorp Stadium, then it went away. What do they need to show in attack in terms of that intensity from the get-go all the way through to the 80-minute mark?
I think Queensland have played 2 side-to-side in games 1 and 2. Against New South Wales, very good defensive side, only leaking 6 points in the first 2 games. They need to play through the Blues. One way of doing that is running with intent at inside shoulders. And this is an example of Josh Papali'i. You can see there, what he's doing is he's coming back at the inside shoulder of Daniel Saifiti for the Blues side. And what it does, it creates momentum for the Queensland side. That's got to be the mentality for the Queensland forwards on Wednesday night. You'll see there just back at the inside shoulder, and he wins that collision against Saifiti, which means Ben Hunt can jump off the back of those quick play the balls. Now, the other way that I think that Queensland can play through the Blues side is by changing direction. And I'll show you an example of this. There's Tino playing as a ball player there for the Queensland side. But have a look at Kate Well dropping underneath. Now, I like this play from Queensland. They're coming back against tired defenders and causing some instability in the defensive line for the Blues. Now, principal footy, for those at home, principal footy is this. If you drop a player off, exactly what Kurt Capewell did then. If you drop him off, what you want to do is you want to play on the up. So what Queensland can do is they can drop Capewell into this area here, or it would be the centre this weekend, whether it's Hemiso or Dane Gagai or any of the back rows, drop them into the middle of the park and then play on the up, play on the keep going, which is against the grain. They'll find some joy there against the Blues side. So that's 2 effective ways. The other thing that I've seen from the Queensland side is when they've actually had an offload in their game. So there's a change of direction by Fafita, but this is the offload that creates instability in the Blues defensive line. So that's from game 1. I think they need to have that mentality. Run hard with intent at inside shoulders, change directions, but then look to add some offloads to cause chaos in the Blues defensive side.
One thing that Paul Green has been really critical of with his side is their inability to convert on their opportunities down near the attacking line. What have you noticed from the Maroons' attacking game plan inside that 20 metres when they are ready to strike in games 1 and 2?
Yeah, it's interesting, Zach. Any of the best ball players that I've coached like to play from shorter field position when they're attacking the line, and they like to play through opposition teams. And it's interesting to hear Andrew Johns in commentary a couple of weeks ago talk about this fact. Teams try and go play with the football on the outside of the defenders when they're attacking the try line. I'd like to see Queensland attack from shorter field position. Now, this is from a little bit wider field position, but they're going from side to side here in the early games. This is game 2. You'll see Welsh there as the ball player, but you can see that the Blues side scramble really hard from inside out. Now, Adokar comes out and jams on Valentine Holmes, but just have a look at the Blues jerseys in the picture. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Blues defenders in cover defence there, scrambling. And I think Queensland have been playing from too wide a field position close to the line. Now, I go back to game 3 last year. You can see here it's from shorter field position. So the last play the ball I showed you was out past the post here. This time it is from far shorter field position there. And as I said, it's game 3 last year. Now, have a look at this. When it's from shorter field position, the Blues have less time to scramble with their D. Now, Josh Adokar playing on the right wing comes out and tries to jam on Corey Allen, but he's got more time from shorter field position. I think they need to play from shorter field position and play through the Blues. This is another example. Last year, game 3, you'll see here, Queensland side get to the post. So playing from shorter field position, it's this side of the uprights for the Queensland side, and they're trying to play through them by hitting Christian Welch short, close to the line. The other thing I like about this, not only playing through them, but using that offload, which Christian Welch in particular, Papali'i's got an offload in his game as well as Tino. They can create instability in the Blues side. So I think they need to play from shorter field position and use some offloads.
Just speaking about offloads there, how important is second phase play for the Maroons on Wednesday night, especially given the inclusion of Kalen Ponga? Last week we spoke about his inclusion, why it's important, and one of the elements was his support play around the middle.
As I said, you can't go away from running with intent at inside shoulders. That's the blueprint for the Queensland Maroons side. But when they want to try and create some instability in the Blues team, I think this is what they can do. They can have some sighted offloads. So it means the offload's not just out the back like a grenade. It's actually sighted. The player needs to sight their target that they're trying to play the ball or the offload. So you'll see Christian Walsh there. There he's in the contest. Sighted offload out the back there to Andrew McCulloch in game 2. And now Cameron Munster's got the ball, creating some instability again, finds a pass with Val Holmes. So you can see the momentum and the chaos it creates in the attack for the Queensland side, but also the instability in the Blues line. This is another example. Cameron Munster, who's got a fantastic show-and-go game, but also that's a sighted offload. Play off the back of that, because what happens is this. All of a sudden, the Blues line, instead of having 13 defenders in the line, there's only 11 in the line because there's 2 defenders on the floor. I think after they think about playing through the Blues, they can have some sighted offloads to create instability in the defensive line for the Blues team. I think that's a way that they can score points in those in-between moments, not from structured plays, but by the in-between moments of running with intent, good push support, and essentially sighted offloads.
Siebes, you're making this sound way too easy for the Maroons on Wednesday night. So what else can they do on a serious note? As I said, they've been outplayed massively in Game 1 in Townsville, outplayed on home soil again at Suncorp Stadium, another game in Queensland. They want to go out in a high. But how can they again get on top of New South Wales in another element?
Yeah, so Queensland have struggled to score points. I think having Xavier Coates go back to the right-hand side wing in the clash up against To'o, the left-hand side winger for the Blues side, I think they can do some cross-field kicks. Now, this is in good ball. I showed you an example of the kick chase kick, which was landing on Adokar when Queensland are coming out of yardage. When they're in good ball attacking the try line for the of the Blues team, I think what they need to do is land the ball on a player, in particular, not so much Latrell Mitchell, but Brian To'o for the Blues side. And I think you can isolate him. You'll see here, Cameron Munster, very good with his kicking game. So is Daly Cherry Evans, but there's a one-on-one contest. Xavier Coates at some stage will pull that ball down and go across the try line. Again, they're trying to isolate this defender here for the Blues team. He's out there by himself. You can see there's a big different distance between Latrell Mitchell and the winger there for the Blues side. So try and get Xavier Coates into the contest. A one-on-one contest, you'll see there, Xavier wins that contest. And it's fantastic scramble D again by the Blues side. But I just think that's a way that they can score points against the Blues side. Play through the Blues, particularly when they're attacking the try line of the Blues. Last play options, or when they want to do cross-field kicks, attacking kicks, put them on the money there for Xavier Coates, and then create instability as they come up the field with those educated and sighted offloads.
Well, it's been a mismatch highlighted since before the series, Coates against To'o, but To'o has stood tall that whole time, whether it's him or his teammates helping him on that edge. All right, so when you look at all that, when you look at them if they put pressure on Moses and White, and if their kick chase in those first 2 defensive tackle efforts are good, if they run with intent, if they've got offloads and create second phase play, and if they find Xavier Coates out-leaping Brian To'o on the wing, can the Maroons get it done and save themselves from a clean sweep defeat?
Well, there'll be certainly intrinsic and extrinsic motivation for the Maroons side. It's been a really challenging, last period of time for the Maroons. Every single build-up for the Maroons had some sort of controversy attached to it, or injuries or illness attached to it. So hopefully they get a smooth run into the game. I think that the narrow focus of their kick chase +2, disrupting the Blues with inside pressure and kick pressure, playing through the Blues, and then also putting those crossfield kicks for Xavier Coates close to the line, it can make them competitive. There's no doubt about that. But rather than write 10 or 12 things on a whiteboard, they really need to narrow their focus to those 3 or 4 key areas. If they can do them consistently well, they give themselves a chance. If they don't, then the Blues are going to be far too strong again.
Siebes, as always, thank you for that incredible insight. No doubt Paul Green will be tuning in. If he hasn't already got the game plan sorted for the Maroons, he'll take a few tips off you ahead of Origin 3. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us wherever you are right now. We can't wait for State of Origin and Game 3 on Wednesday night.